memory haunting Pilate, and that memory has a name: Lucius alias Sejanus. To understand Pilate's fear, we have to go back to the time of Caesar Augustus and what started as a good idea. Caesar Augustus was trying to stabilize Rome as Rome was transitioning from being a republic into being an empire. But Augustus knew something, that power needs protection. And so in 27 BCE, he created the Praetorian Guard, an elite unit, soldiers tasked with one thing: protect the emperor and protect his family. But he was careful. He was smart about it. He didn't want Rome to feel like it was being occupied. And so he scattered the soldiers across the city, quiet, invisible, and controlled. It was a smart idea. It was a necessary idea. But in Rome, like in all places, good ideas often come with their sharp edges. And those edges started to show with the next emperor, Tiberius Caesar Augustus. Tiberius. He was suspicious, he was brooding, paranoid, and under him, a certain man came into power, Sejanus, we mentioned. He wasn't a noble, he wasn't born into power, but he was ambitious. He was dangerously ambitious. And when his father was sent away to govern Egypt, the son, Sejanus, became the sole commander of that Praetorian Guard. And that's when everything started to change. Sejanus tells Tiberius something manipulative. Says, these soldiers are becoming weak, distracted. They're being corrupted by life inside the city walls. And he offers the emperor a solution. He says, let's bring them all together into one place, into one fortress, the Castra Praetoria, just outside of Rome. And there we'll put 12,000 elite soldiers, all concentrated into one place. And suddenly, the emperor didn't just have protection, he had his own personal army, but Sejanus controlled it. And from that fortress, Sejanus begins to play a very long game, a deadly one. And he set his sights on becoming the emperor. But there's one problem. The emperor has a son, Drusus. He's the heir, but he's also a violent, volatile man. He's a man who once punched Sejanus out in public, saying with disdain, a stranger invited to assist the government while the emperor's son is alive. How dare you? And that just gave Sejanus an idea. He doesn't strike back at the emperor's son openly. He moves quietly, and he seduces Drusus' wife, Livilla. And together, over months, slowly, carefully, they poison the heir to the empire. And that heir dies in 23 AD, and no one suspects a thing. And now the path is clearer. Sejanus tries to secure his place, and he asks the emperor if he can marry the widow, and so he can enter the imperial family. But Tiberius, the emperor, refuses, and he makes his refusal public, and he gives it very coldly. Again, Sejanus is told, this is inappropriate. And that refusal is a reminder to this ambitious man, you are not one of us. But that doesn't stop him. Instead, he feeds the emperor's paranoia. Rome is dangerous. Everyone is plotting against you. You are not safe. And Tiberius believes him, and the emperor flees. He leaves Rome entirely and withdraws to the island of Capri. And from that moment on, Sejanus becomes the gatekeeper to power. You want access to the emperor? You go through Sejanus. You want power? You pay Sejanus. And the empire begins to worship him. They erect a statue of Sejanus in the theater of Pompeii. His birthday becomes a public holiday. His face is minted onto Roman coins. And he gets a special title, an informal but still an impressive title. The emperor calls him affectionately, my partner in toil. Almost emperor, not a name, but in reality. Until October 31st, at the peak of his power, in the year 31, while Emperor Tiberius was isolated for the past decade on the island of Capri, oblivious to Sejanus' slow, conniving crawl to treason, a woman sees what others are afraid to say out loud. The woman's name is Antonia Minor, and she is Tiberius' sister-in-law, and she sends a secret letter to Tiberius, smuggled past Sejanus' spies. And the truth reaches the emperor, and Tiberius wakes up. He sends a message back to Rome, a letter to be read by the Senate to Sejanus, under the guise of further elevating this ambitious man. And so Sejanus walks into the Senate, expecting a promotion, perhaps even being named co-emperor, and instead, the letter is read aloud. It begins with praise, and then shifts to hesitation, and then the accusation comes. And before Sejanus can react, he is surrounded, arrested by the watchmen, Rome's police. He's dragged away, and that night he is executed, strangled. And then the real terror begins. The crowd turns, violently rioting. They drag Sejanus' corpse through the streets, and they throw it down the Gemonian stairs where treasonous corpses go to rot. And then came the purge. Anyone connected to Sejanus is hunted down. His friends, his allies, his family, even his children. They're all executed brutally. And Rome cleanses itself of his name. The statue in the theater is toppled. The birthday holiday is deleted from the calendar, and his face is erased from the coins. Not long after Sejanus' execution, Pilate stood before an angry crowd ready to riot in Jerusalem over the verdict of a man named Jesus. And the crowd shouts, "If you let this man go, you are no friend of Caesar." The crowd's not arguing, they're pushing his button. It's a warning that Pilate understands. He's reading between the lines. Many believe that Pilate owes his position to Sejanus, which means this: Pilate is already suspect, already vulnerable. So when they use that phrase, friend of Caesar, they are saying, were you not a friend of Sejanus? What if we tell Tiberius that you want to release a man who we claim appears to be the king of the Jews? And so they're pointing, without pointing, to those Gemonian stairs in Rome. And in that moment, truth does not matter to Pilate. Justice does not matter to Pilate. There's only one thing that matters: survival. You can imagine Pilate's mindset as he looks at Jesus, who's standing beside him. He's been beaten. He's silent. He's draped in that mocking robe. And while that's happening, the crowd is suggesting that Pilate is not a friend of Caesar. And that fear rises up within Pilate. It's sharp, it's immediate. He tries one last time to defuse this bomb. He brings Jesus back inside and he asks, "Where are you from?" As he's searching, not for truth, but he's looking for an escape. He's checking for a loophole, some technicality of citizenship, a way to pass responsibility from himself to save himself. Pilate is not unique in this regard. He is something, he is someone more familiar than we care to admit. So let's leave Jerusalem and let's leave Rome and return to Strathroy and Kerwood, to our lives and to the season of Lent. We are Christians who talk about virtue, about justice, as if they're easy, as if we choose them calmly and freely, and we choose them in a vacuum. But how often has self-preservation won in our lives? What are the times when we have surrendered to the fear of losing our social status, losing our comfort, losing our security? We attempt justice and compassion until someone questions our friendship with Caesar. Just think of Peter a couple of weeks back by the fire, by that charcoal fire, when he said that he would go to the cross, but he stopped in his tracks at the gate when a servant girl asks a simple question. And fear overtakes Peter, and he chooses self-preservation. Pilate's no different. He reaches his limit. We're no different. Lent pushes us forward towards courage, towards faithfulness, but eventually we hit a wall. We hit our own limit. We can only follow Jesus so far in this journey to the cross. So here's the irony about Lent, that our Lenten efforts, our fasting, our discipline, our seeking justice, they're not designed to prove our strength. They're designed to reveal our weakness, to show us something uncomfortable, that we're not as free as we think. We're often ruled by the instincts and drives to survive. So today's sermon isn't about go out there and try harder. It's this: let's just be honest. Let's just admit it, that under pressure, like Peter, like Pilate, we'd likely do the same thing and choose survival. Maybe we'd have chosen safety, maybe we'd have walked away, or maybe we wouldn't. And for us, here's the good news. Jesus didn't stay on the cross because we were brave enough to follow. Jesus stayed because we couldn't. So here's the question we can go away with. Where have I chosen Caesar over the truth? Simple question. Let's be courageous enough to name it, not to rush past it, to sit with it, and then to look again at our hearts, at the one who is on the judgment seat, the King who does not use power to protect himself, but to love, to heal, to mend the world that is broken, and a world that breaks him. Let's not rush to Easter morning, because first we have to stand here with Pilate and admit the truth that we are afraid. And that is exactly where God meets us. Amen.